So in this video we'll discuss how intermediate code generator of compiler design phase will be working. So in that particularly we'll discuss about translation of expressions. So in this video we are going to discuss about the topics incremental translation and addressing array elements. So let us see how the translation of expression will be done by compiler. So for this we are going to consider the arithmetic expression grammar and how are the translation embedded within the grammar we are going to discuss. So in this slide you can see the productions and the semantic rules. The first production rule is S produces ID equal to E semicolon. So here we need to generate the 3 address code for the statement. S refers to statement. So here to generate the 3 address code for statement S, first we should know what is the 3 address code for the expression E. So that's why first we'll consider the 3 address code for E. Then after that the ID details we have to get from the symbol table. That's why top.get id.lexim is used. The environment details will be stored in the stack. So using the top pointer we can access the environment variable from the stack. Then after accessing the ID details we are going to store in that ID, we are going to access whatever the value we have calculated and stored in the e.address. So we need to generate the 3 address code for this ID equal to e.address. Then we are going to concatenate with the 3 address code of E. The next production rule is E produces E1 plus E2. So here after performing the addition, the result will be stored in the temporary compiler generated temporary variable new temp. So e.address equal to new temp, it will be used to generate the temporary variable. And here E is a parent, E1 plus E2, these are all the children nodes. So what is the 3 address code for E1 and E2? We are accessing through E1.code and E2.code. So they will be concatenated to find out the parent 3 address code. Along with that, we need to find out E1.address. What is the value in E1 and what is the value in E2? So we are accessing the values from them and then add the values and store it in parent E.address. So this 3 address code we need to generate using the predefined function generate. Then E produces minus E1. So for this new temporary variable we need to generate by using new temp function, and that will be stored in e.address. So e.address is the parent attribute. So here we need to find out what is the 3 address code for E1. That will be there in E1.code concatenated with we need to generate the 3 address code for minus E1. So that will be generated through generate function. It's a predefined function for the compiler. So e.address equal to unary minus followed by E1.address. So all these things we have to concatenate to find out e.code. Then the next production rule is E produces parenthesized E1. So here in e.address we are going to store E1.address. And whatever the 3 address code for E1 that will be stored in the parent 3 address code. So here the code is the attribute where the 3 address code will be stored. The next production rule is E produces ID. So we are going to access the ID details, identify details from the symbol table. So for that get function will be used. So whatever the present environment, that details will be there in the stack. So we can access the stack contents through the top pointer. So we are accessing the identifier details from the symbol table and we are storing in e.address. And here there is no 3 address code generated. So e.code equal to empty value. So now let us see the example. The syntax director definition, here what is given here, it is a equal to, the expression given here is a equal to b plus minus c. So what is the 3 address code needed for this? T1 equal to unary minus c. So that value has to be calculated first. Then temporary variable 2, this will be generated by compiler. So b plus t1. In t1 we have the unary minus value that will be added together. And in a, whatever the value we have calculated that's there in t2, that value will be assigning in a. So now let us move on to incremental translations. So here E produces E1 plus E2. So here already we have discussed how the syntax tree will get generated. So the syntax tree construction through the syntax director translation, that knowledge we can use here for incremental translation. So that is new node we are going to generate. The operator is plus, the first operand is E1 dot address and the second operand is E2 dot address. Then E dot address is the parent 3 address code. So plus is the operator and new intermediate node will create, and the left and right operands will be pointing to the address of E1 and E2. So let us see how we can accommodate the other operations like unary minus, parenthesized expression and simple identifier. So S produces identifier equal to expression. S is referring to the statement. So here we need to get the identifier details of the present environment from the stack. For that we'll make use of the top pointer. So the ID details we have to access from here, and we are going to generate the 3 address code. So for generating the 3 address code, what are the statements needed here? What are the syntax director translation needed here? That's what we are discussing here. So that is equal to E dot address. So in E, the expression value will be stored in it. That to access it, E dot address will be using. The next production rule is E produces E1 plus E2. So E1 plus E2 value, E1 dot value and E2 dot value will be stored in E1 dot address and E2 dot address. From those addresses we'll access the value of them, of those expressions, and we will assign to the parent E dot address. To generate the 3 address code, we'll make use of the generate predefined function. And after performing the addition, we are going to store the result in a temporary variable. So it's a compiler generated temporary variable. To create that, new temp function will be using. So whatever the new temporary variable generated, its address will be captured in the parent E. So E dot address is equal to that new temporary variable generator and its address. And the next production rule is E produces minus E1. So here unary minus value, to calculate the we have to create the 3 address code. To create the 3 address code, generate function will be using. So the parent is E. So E dot address equal to unary minus, then E1 dot address. There we'll be having the value of E1. So that we are accessing through E1 dot address. Then E dot address equal to the unary minus, where we have unary minus of this expression 1, where we have stored the temporary variable value we are going to assign here. That's why E dot address equal to new temp. Then E produces parenthesized E1. So this E1 value, whatever is there, that will be assigned to E. That's why E1 dot address is assigned to E dot address here. The next production rule is E produces ID. So the ID details will be accessing from the symbol table of the present environment, which is stored in the stack. Stack content will access through the top. That's why we'll access it as top.get of the ID details, and we'll store it in the E dot address. So this is the way how we'll generate the 3 address code for the arithmetic expression incrementally. So let us move on to addressing array elements. So the array elements can be stored in row major way or in column major way. If it is row major way, if you have 2 rows, the first row values will be stored initially, then after that the second row values will be stored. So if it is column major, the first column value will be stored first, then the second column values will be stored, then the third column values will be stored. In this way, the layouts of 2-dimensional array are used in different computer architectures. So let us see how the addressing of array elements is used by compiler us, and it is implemented in the compiler design. So here the W refers to the width of the data. So if it is integer in a particular computer architecture, if it is occupying 4 bytes, the width will be 4 bytes. If it's occupying floating point, if it is floating point data, and if it is occupying 8 bytes in a particular architecture, the width will be 8. So what is the base address of the array plus whatever the index value into W is the width of it, I is the index value. So if it is one dimensional array, this is the formula we are going to use, base plus I into W. If it is two dimensional array, then base plus index value of the first dimension into how many columns are there in the row plus I2 is the index value in the second dimension into whatever the element data size. So if it is integer, this W2 will be 4 bytes in the according to the example what we have considered here. So similarly, if we have multiple dimensions of the array, we'll be using base plus I1 into the first dimension plus I2 into second dimension, plus similarly we'll be using, if you have k dimension, ik into wk. So here the final dimension wk, here it will be referring to integer size or float size or character size or whatever the structure we are using here, the size will be used here. So here how can we shorten this? So if you have two-dimensional array, if it is integer array, consider that in a computer architecture, if it is occupying 4 bytes, means the width will be 4 bytes. So the base address of the array plus, if you want to access a particular element in the two-dimensional array, base address plus the first dimension index value. For example, if you have used integer a of 50 of 50, if you have used, then if you have declared like that, then if you want to access a of I of j, or if you have used a of I1 of I2, then how will we access it? Base plus I1 into N2. N2 is the second dimension maximum size plus I2, and this should be written within parentheses into the memory space allocated for each and every element. So in the same way, if we have multiple dimensions also, here the width will be specifying each and every individual element in the array. So here the base address of the array plus the first index value I1 into N2 is the second dimension maximum size plus I2 is the index value of the second dimension into N3 is the third dimension maximum size plus I3 and etc. The whole thing will be multiplied by the kth dimension maximum number of elements plus ik into W. So this is for multidimensional array element. Compiler will be using this formula to calculate the multidimensional indexed element from the array, whether it is used in the row major way or column major way. So for example, if we have used one dimensional array, how will it be accessed? The formula is base address plus the index value I minus low. Low value for the one dimensional array in the computer, it is 0 here. The whole thing multiplied by the number of space allocated for each and every element. If it is integer, the W will be 4 bytes. If it is floating point data, 8 bytes. So already we have discussed there are two ways of representing two-dimensional array. One is row major way and the second one is column major way. If it is row major way, first all the row values will be used. First row values will be stored first, then the second row values, then the third row values, and so on. If it is column major representation of array, first column data will be stored, then second column data will be stored, and then third column data will be stored. So this is the way how the intermediate code generator will be using the array notations and accessing the array elements. I have referred compiler principles, techniques and tools of second edition by the authors Alfred Aho, Monica Lam, Ravi Sethi and Jeffrey D. Ullman. So if you have any comments, leave in the comments. Thank you.